Before there was a dream, before the rankings, before the headlines, before the NIL deals, before the scouts, before anyone even knew my name, there was a plan, a vision, a dream that turned into reality.
But today, we're talking Barnett, one of the top G5 quarterbacks last year, leading James Madison to the playoffs.
Alonza Barnett III.
Alonza Barnett was the Sun Belt Player of the Year.
Barnett, quarterback keeper, has the hole, takes it in, touchdown, JMU.
This story didn't begin at UCF. It didn't begin at JMU. It began at home. The foundation of my story.
Your daddy's dancing bear.
Be a sound clip. How do you feel today? Good. How did you sleep last night?
Alonzo, what does it take to be a great quarterback?
Primarily, I grew up in Greensboro, around like the Northeast area, but you know, sports was always a part of me and my family for as long as I can remember. Dad played sports growing up, mom played sports. Little sister as well, she played sports, so there's 4 of us in total. 4 years separate me and my sister, so you know, with that there's a little bit of you know, sibling rivalry, love type thing, especially when you involve sports. But you know, as we've gotten older, our dynamic has been a little more goofy. We'll send TikToks back and forth. You know, I think the biggest thing for me, being an older sibling, is really, you know, setting that example. And that's another thing that's in the back of my mind, you know, whenever I go through whatever I go through is, you know, how does she see it? You know, what can she learn from me without me telling her? And obviously, if she can see that a big brother has fought and overcome a bunch of different things, then why can't she do the same and more?
What does hurdling mean to you?
How that started was, you know, at the time growing up, RG3, his Heisman year, you know, you kind of got to see what was going into his training routine. And with my dad, he's always trying to find the best things possible, things that, you know, like you said, first thing you do is find that best information. The second thing you do is, you know, apply it to your life and what's best for you. And then the third thing you have to do is actually go do it. So for us, we saw RG3 doing hurdles, and he explained how it helps loosen his hips and, you know, speed and power. And so that's what I did. I mostly did it in practice, you know, just the different drills and stuff to be able to open the hips, the fluidity of the hips. But I think that was just a testament to, you know, at the time I didn't really think much of it, but now it's kind of ingrained in me. Just I'm looking for the next best thing that I can do, the next best thing that I can apply to my life to, you know, help me become the best version of myself. I think for the most part, our parents allowed us to explore and, you know, really naturally gravitate towards what we love. They introduced us to a bunch of different sports, but for me, football is what stuck. And I think a lot of that has to do with, you know, my dad's mentality, you know, about football. He always said, if you're gonna do something, you're gonna do it all out. So if you don't wanna put in the extra work, the time and dedication it takes to be great, then, you know, drop the sports. And for me, I was willing to do that for football for whatever reason when I was younger, and that's really what stuck. Mom did track, cheerleading, and all that, you know, growing up. Dad played quarterback actually all the way up until college, until he was switched over to be a DB at North Carolina A&T in Greensboro. From there, he played a little bit in the NFL with the Eagles, but most of his time was spent overseas with the Amsterdam Admirals. If I had to rank, you know, obviously they say you get your genetics, your athletic genetics from mom, so not discrediting dad, but we'll go mom at 1. Sister, she's pretty fast. She's not faster than me, but that's for another day. I'll put her at 2 though. Dad, obviously that's the king. He carried the torch. He'll go at 4 though. I'll put myself at 3. So we'll go mom, sister, me, and then dad. From what I can remember as a kid, some things that I enjoyed doing was really just similar to stuff now. I remember growing up playing the Wii, waking up at like 8, 9, because I could only play it on the weekends. So wake up at like 7, 8 a.m., play the Wii, and I think it got to a point where they had to, you know, push back the Wii time so I would get some sleep. But playing NCAA and Madden 09 on the Wii, really anything involving sports and hanging out with friends, obviously, as I've gotten older, I think some of that stuff is pretty similar. But you know, I can venture off into the roller coasters and stuff like that because I'm a little taller. I'd say my dream growing up is the same as it is now.
Somebody stop him. He has been incredible today.
Being a NFL Hall of Famer, and my dad actually had me and my sister make vision boards. I'm sure it's somewhere at home, but you know, that was one of the things that was posted up there, NFL Hall of Fame. And you know, the path hasn't always looked like what I thought it would look like growing up, but I've learned how to manage that and navigate that, and hopefully I'm well on the way.
How do you feel about where this Worley's team is right now?
We're still young, it's still early in the season. We have a lot of things to work on. Coming out of high school, obviously I had to deal with COVID, so just from that standpoint, from my sophomore to my junior year wasn't completely normal. At one point, I didn't even think I was going to have a junior season, but you know, fortunately, we were able to push forward, and it got pushed back from the fall to the spring. So, you know, that time that I had in the fall, not knowing whether football would be available for me and my teammates and friends that I grew up with, you know, going into my junior season, I had to, you know, work with, I guess, no type of end goal for that season. So just learning how to push through that. And fortunately for us, we won a state championship. So that was pretty cool to see, you know, the hard work pay off, and those long nights and times of thinking you don't know if you're going to have a season. For me, that was just the beginning. Obviously, going into college, going into James Madison, freshman year, true freshman year, red-shirted, didn't see any action, 2 games, I think, something like that. But then you start the next year, and I had the opportunity to battle for the quarterback position, and I won that. But, you know, what I learned real fast was that's just the beginning of what it means to be a quarterback. It's not just winning the job. You still have to go out there and execute. And, you know, unfortunately, I didn't do that in a half of football, didn't play that well, and then I got benched. So just speaking on that, just learning what it is to, like I said, fight and be able to come back from that. And then that staff went and was at Indiana. So for me, there was a lot of uncertainty there again, you know, what my role would look like the next season, what the new staff would envision for me. So just that sheer determination and will to come back the next year and win that job again. And crazy thing is, I started off that first half of the first game the same way I did when I got benched. So to be able to have that mental fortitude to throw that out, you know, your mind, and to bounce back from there. And, you know, we had a pretty good season. I think we could have done more. Looking back on it, just to be able to have that mental fortitude was pretty cool. And then when you look at the ending of that season, you know, tear my ACL. So I wouldn't call it a disappointment, but I'm a competitor. So at the end of the day, of course I want to be out there with my guys. Of course I want to be out there, you know, in the fire with them. But, you know, there's a time and a place for everything. And, you know, when the time is right, I'll be back out there, which will be soon. That's just another hurdle, you know, no pun intended, in the way to just, you know, being able to bounce back and obviously have thick and tough skin. And in that moment, I think that past that off season, that 8 months that it took to fight back, I really learned what resiliency was, and confidence and belief, and probably a little bit of stubbornness too. I think my biggest motivating factor was I knew how good of a team we had that upcoming year, and how good of a chance that we had to make the college football playoffs, which we ended up doing. So just speaking on all the adversity, there have been, you know, plenty of moments where I've been in adversity, and having that solitude and whatever comes with adversity, I think I'm pretty comfortable with it.
Okay, I'm gonna be looking for hustle and tenacity. Body language, hustle, tenacity.
Growing up, I was extremely competitive. My dad could probably tell it better than I could, but I think if you ask both my parents, I was probably the smallest kid out there competing with kids way above my age, whether it was at the park or whatever, and you couldn't tell me I wasn't 6'2" or right up there with them. So, I mean, just it was literally in everything. I'm sure they have plenty of home videos. I think the one that I can remember the most is me and my dad played Madden, and I think he beat me, and I threw an absolute fit, like screaming, crying. Yeah, so I hate losing, and I think it shows up in every portion of my life, or of my childhood growing up. It's still with both my parents, but I think just putting me in those environments, growing up, being in the Spanish immersion, I mean, he's allowed me to go to the Achievements Unlimited basketball camp, travel to Texas, Georgia, California, Florida, wherever it may be, and not just turning those sports trips into purely sports trips, but, you know, education trips. Like Alabama, I think we went one time for track nationals, and seeing the church, the civil rights movements, and things of that nature. I think that really spoke to, you know, being bigger than an athlete. And, you know, when you look at it from that lens, you recognize, you know, your impact is far beyond the football field. I think one thing that can define me and my dad's relationship is the fact that he calls me just about every day or every other day, and you know, I run through my day and he really wants to know every single detail, what we're doing, what the playbook looks like, what receivers look good, you know, what am I doing outside of football, my grades. And you know, some people might call it, you know, overreaching, but I just see it as somebody who completely cares about every single aspect of your life. And you know, as I've gotten older, I've become really appreciative of, you know, the things he's done for me and the experiences he's taken me through. When you think about that stuff, it literally just be casual drives in the car, conversations like, if you had this school and this school, what would you choose and why? Okay, you having a season up coming up, what's some questions that they might ask you? Things like that. Okay, this person is interviewing you. Go look at some other interviews and how they stage their questions. What questions do you think they might ask you? And so just kind of being able to anticipate that and just already have that in your thought process of what they might do or what somebody might ask, or, you know, what this piece or this piece might look, which is, you know, why he also had me playing chess. Yeah, it's crazy. It's all hitting me. It's all hitting me even now, like, you know, why he did the things that he did. And chess is really like the game of life. It's like the game of football. Just the more that you can do that, the easier you can be able to respond, because, you know, that's one thing that life is about your response to different situations. I think when he introduced sports and you talk about sports in the Barnett family, it's never just about what you can do on the field. It's about those transferable skills that you learn through the game of sports, you know, how to deal with adversity, how to work with others with a diverse background. And, you know, growing up, you don't really understand what that means, but, you know, I've had the pleasure of growing up for 4 or 5 years in college, and I've really seen, you know, what that means to, you know, deal with adversity, be able to work with teammates, you know, commitment, dedication, hard work, sacrifice, you know, just to name a few things. And I just, it's hard to imagine life without sports in that sense. Growing up with a dad that played quarterback, obviously with that, there's a different type of thought process that comes with that. What it means to be a leader, what it means to, you know, impact others and, you know, have that team camaraderie and chemistry. Obviously it impacts the way you were raised as well. I think the biggest way, like I've spoken on before, how it showed up for me was just the daily things, the experiences that he allowed me to see, things he took me through, and how he raised me and my sister, you know, up on things like discipline and character and integrity, and, you know, always acting like you're in the spotlight. I think some things that inspire me are, you know, just my family, what I call my tribe, my community. People that have been there for me, you know, from the start, through my highs, through my lows. On game days, I think that transitions more towards my teammates, their goals, their dreams, their aspirations, and not only that, but, you know, maybe the kid or the family in the stands, that this is their one opportunity to come see a game where they've traveled long and far, and early morning, late night travel just to, you know, spend some of their time and money to see me and my brothers play. So I'd say those are some of the biggest motivators for me right now.
How does the future look for you now?
Based on my foundation, you know, the experiences that I've been through, I think the future for me, what it holds, I believe I can overcome and conquer anything. You know, my faith has been strengthened. Obviously, I've been, you know, battle tested just mentally, physically. I've gone through just about every adversity that you can think of. So whatever comes next, I know I won't be able to just handle it, but be able to achieve at the highest level. You know, I'm confident, you know, in who God has created me to be, the skills, talents, and abilities, the opportunity, the people He's put around me. So from there, now I just have to put in the work and control what I can control.
Alonza Barnett